Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Admiral Markets. My name is Chris, and I'm going to be hosting this strategy webinar regarding the Forex market and perhaps some futures as well, and the commodities. So we're going to take a look at a specific strategy today, and it's going to be focused on actually a strategy that is focused on time. And so if you're curious about that, hang on, because first of all, I have a few disclaimers, two disclaimers precise to discuss. One is the fact that this webinar is intended for a global audience. It may not be suitable for everyone. To find out more information on that and conditions and details, please visit admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence, and contact an appropriate entity. Also, trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk and may not be suitable for all traders and investors. Therefore, please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information. This webinar is not advice and is for informational and educational purposes only. And by continuing watching this webinar, you do agree with this disclaimer. So, specific strategy, that means rules and explanation of those rules, and then let's translate those rules on in real life and in what's going on right now. Before I take a look at the current chart and talk about the system that I want to discuss today, we have a news event on the pound MPC meeting minutes today and a whole list of yellow and green news, but the MPC obviously the most important. That is 1 hour 40 minutes from now. All right, moving on to what's going on in the market right now. Let's take a look at the euro dollar. So we had the break to the upside yesterday. We talked about it, the potential for the bounce. What I found interesting, the bounce at an important 108 level, important weekly support level even, and the fact that there was divergence between these bottoms, and it was kind of slowing down. It was triple divergence even on lower time frames, and the fact that a break above 108.35 would break the trend line, would break this fractal, and could see some kind of correction. Now that correction turned out to be a massive correction, in my opinion at least, a decent sized one, to be maybe more precise perhaps, but still 130 pips, however you describe it, it's a lot, and it was a good rally. So if anyone took that trade, that was very nice. And according to my time factor strategy, that is the focus of today, basically anyone who took an entry upon that break and used that time factor for trade management would have waited 5 to 6, let's say 6 candles, not breaking this high, because look, the whole idea is based on momentum, right? And momentum, basically each candle pushing with a higher high, and some of them not. This didn't have a higher high, this didn't have a higher high, this one did actually have a higher high. So only 2, right? So that's not important because it's 6 candles not breaking the high. That's when the momentum is over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So using the time factor exit strategy, this doji would have been the exit. Or one could have trail stopped right below it, for instance. All right. Now, that exit would have given about, well, depending where your entry, of course, is, but 10 pips above that fractal. If that would have been an entry at about 45, it would have led to about 90 pips versus about 45 risk. 2-to-1 trade. Good trade. So that's time factor, using basically counting candles for those that are maybe joining for the first time here, or haven't heard about time factor in previous webinars. Time factor is simply counting candles. So in this case, counting the corrective candles after a momentum. The momentum here is to the upside. Strong bullish candles with closes near the high. Look at that here, here, closes that show that the bulls are in control. Also sizable candles of momentum in comparison with these smaller candles. So that is momentum. And how do we know momentum is finished? Well, there are various ways, but one way that I use is the time factors, basically, and that would indicate that here the momentum is finished. So is that particular part clear before I move on, maybe? Just that everyone's on board. Is anyone not seeing this point? So you count, one more thing perhaps, you start counting here on this candle. It's the first one, by the way. Because that is the first one not breaking the high. So you don't start with the highest candle. Already. Yeah, maximize the profit is a good question. I wouldn't want to maybe use too strong of a words for my own system here. I think that what I like, I don't know if you really maximize it. I mean, if you choose, obviously in this case, there's always going to be, if you use the six candle rule, you're always going to exit a bit below the top because you're waiting for a bit of a pullback, right? So if you have a strong analysis that shows that 109.50, it's not going to break 109.50, and you take profit at 109.60, you would have maximized the profit a bit more by 26 pips. Now the difficulty perhaps with that is it's first of all having a strong analysis that is picking the right level, and second of all, sometimes it's just impossible to be so precise in picking the level because sometimes momentum pushes a lot further than our analysis imagines. So not only do we need a good analysis, but sometimes it's just impossible to really have a 100% idea where it stops because the momentum keeps pushing. So the good thing about the six candle rule is maybe not maximizing, but it allows the winner to run. And that is good because it's really a very practical solution in the saying, cut your winners short and let your winners run. Time factor, I think, is a very good practical way of doing that because a lot of traders talk about it, but how do you do it, right? I don't know. It seems on paper very nice, but in reality, very difficult. I think that this actually kind of subscribes or allows traders to do that because we allow it momentum just to ride wherever it wants to go. So because, for instance, otherwise, let's say that we had to take profit in mind here and it goes further than we expected. So what is better, RTP kind of take profit ideas or the trail? It probably depends from trader to trader, but I think that on the sum of all averages, I think the time factor could probably do better indeed, in my opinion at least, yes. So because it allows winners to run. So I think, therefore, yes, it should be better. Let's see. Does time factor take into consideration Asian or London? Uh, well, I mean, in general, of course, there's definitely a lot to say about those sessions. Counting candles, though, the counting candle idea, not. There's nothing that I would say has connection to that. In general, though, you're right. There's a lot of things that could be said, I think, about sessions themselves. Let's see. Beverly started using it. Cool. I would be very interested in in your observations or your experiences as you go along. So would definitely appreciate feedback. Let's see. What is the number of corrective candles? So yeah, good. Let's go move on to that question from Jen. So what do we have here? Well, we have momentum. We still have the momentum in play, actually. And we got a correction here. So it's still a potential breakout to the upside. This was one of them. This was actually an early breakout. Now we have the momentum and we got a clear bull flag. So let's count the candles since the bull flag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, the 13th. Now you can do that easily by just clicking on the highest candle and then dragging it to the current candle, and you see the first number is the 13th candle. So that's a lot easier than really counting them. But just to confirm that the numbers are the same, it's 13. 13 candles. I want a correction, indeed, that is at least 12 like this, and the 13th candle that breaks is okay. So from my perspective, this is a valid breakout, in fact, right now, as this is the 13th candle. We do have a momentum here, and there is a fractal in play that could be used for the breakout. I would go on an hourly chart 10 pips above it. Let me take a look. The high is 109. 38, so I would go to 109.48. No, wait, I made a mistake. High is 109.60, excuse me, that was the low that I looked at. So 109.70, I would need to go to 109.70 plus the spread, which means that the entry has not been taken in, but I could place a pending order at 109.70 plus spread, 109.72, 109, no, 72, with a stop loss below this, 10 pips below this fractal. The low is 109.24, so 109.14. 109.14. No TP, because that exit is also based again on the fact, whether there's momentum, and as soon as momentum stops, the exit is completed, is done. As soon as basically 6 candles don't break this high, a high, like in this case here, I exit. So this is a corrective, the breakout out of a corrective zone after momentum. So that would be a re-entry. Someone who took it here and exited here could then re-enter just a few pips higher again. And then, of course, with this trade, I don't know how it will go, but that's how one can do it. Mind you that an entry here, by the way, at the bottom, using time factor rule, let's examine that. This was momentum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th candle right here. Didn't break this bottom. So anyone looking for a reversal trade off of the 108 support level, right, could have waited for the 6th candle. That was bullish, not bearish. That's important. And could have taken an entry somewhere even before the breakout, somewhere in here, although the breakout is the confirmation, if using time factor at least, as a reversal setup. So that's another possibility. But today, I'm only going to focus on breakouts and not, because you can use it in two ways. You can use the time factor rule as a reversal, as I mentioned just below, or as a breakout, as this one is. For breakouts, we always need a fractal, and either it's a corrective breakout like this after 13th candle, or it's a momentum breakout, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. So there, the moment, kind of 3 ideas floating around: the reversal, the corrective breakout, and the momentum breakout. All right, here we see 2 of them. This is reversal, and this is the corrective breakout. Now let's take a look at an example of momentum breakout. All right, so which number of corrective candles after momentum is over? Well, what is this? Sorry. So 12. I want to see 12, at least 12 after this, and the 13th can be the breakout candle up to 60. If it's longer than 60 on an hourly chart, we're waiting 2.5 days. Then it's just too long. If we have a momentum like this and 60 candles after this do not break the nearest fractal, then not taking the breakout. It doesn't happen often, but I do want to put a limit because otherwise it's just taking too long. Let's see. What do you think euro dollar will do today? I think it will make one more bearish push. That's what I would expect. And maybe hit 110.40 here. If you look at the fib sequence numbers, you can see, I already have it on the chart, you can see that we passed the first level, we stopped at the first level, stopped at the second, and we really accelerated up to third and even the fourth here. So we're definitely from that point of view in the bullish territory, right? Clear break, clear momentum break here. Expecting follow through of that momentum break. I consider the momentum, do expect the follow through to the fifth level here. And depending on how we react, how price reacts to the fifth, we could, I don't know, depends. Let's take a look at the daily here. We do have some resistance line coming in like that. That could stop price somewhere in this zone, right? Anywhere between here and here, we could stop probably today, I would say. So that's what I would expect. But there's always a chance that we might not break here, and we might continue the correction lower and maybe bounce off L3. But that would not be a time factor setup. It would have nothing to do with it. It would be time factor is just waiting for the breakout on the nearest fractal. So if there is a correction that goes like this, and we do get a bounce at the L3, and then we get something like that, and there's a fractal right here, then I can move the entry order from here down to there, 10 pips above that. But otherwise, no trades, no matter how deep the pullback is. That's different. I do think, though, from a fib point of view, that if it does make a retracement, that these fibs, when fibbing from top to bottom, that any of these fibs here will probably hold price. Or in any case, I do think that the momentum looks strong enough for that to happen. So before I take a look at the momentum entry, just a question or two, bear with me. Does time factor take into consideration Asian? We talked about that already. Let's see. The time frame counting, well, it really depends what you feel comfortable with trading and what you use for trading and what you can manage. So if you're looking at 4-hour candles usually, then it would probably be best just to stick to that. For instance, if you, for whatever reason, it's best that you look at the chart every 4 hours, then I would use that. I would just stick to one time frame at start, because using multiple time frames could get a bit confusing at the start. So sticking to one at the beginning makes sense, I think. Yes, the breakout on the 13th is okay, up or down. Good morning, Caitlin. I just talking about the time factor. Let's see, could you do this wave count please on cable? Yeah, we'll look at the cable right now, and the candles can be in Asian session 2. Yeah, there's one thing indeed, Björn, that I should mention is that I didn't look at Asian trading that much with 5 and 15-minute charts. So I would have difficulty saying anything about it. In general, I didn't notice any huge differences with the sessions, but if you do, I would gladly hear it from you. That's something that could still probably be investigated. I didn't look that much at, as I said, 5 15-minute charts in that session. Just did look at hourly charts no matter what the session. So that could be maybe worth taking a look at. Let's see. If you entered a trade at the fractal break, then the next 6 candles didn't break high or low, you would exit even if it's a small loss, or would you give it a slightly longer count? Yeah, I would, well, if the time system would indeed mean an immediate exit. Indeed. Momentum's not there, boom, that's it. Now, in my trading, it would depend from a discretionary point of view how I see it. If I expect, maybe because of waves, maybe because of moving averages, maybe because of fibs, follow through, I would be personally more patient. In this case, for instance, the time exit means that price should exit here. But would I really exit, or would I rather stay because this is such a big momentum and I expect to follow through? So from a discretionary point of view, sometimes I definitely stay in trades for longer than that. But from a time factor system point of view, it's an immediate exit. Alrighty. The cable count. Yeah, good. Let's take a look. So we had some small push yesterday. Luckily, I did say, I'm not sure if anyone heard it, but I did say, keep an eye on this hourly candle, preferably, to be conservative, or the 4-hour candle. And that didn't end up well. Got still a retracement lower, and then we got a bounce. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candle, not breaking this bottom, and ever since we've been upside. But this particular part, however, I would not call momentum. It's too choppy. So this particular breakout is not, I would say, a time factor momentum entry. So at the moment on the hourly chart, there's nothing to count, actually, because I need momentum first of all to count the momentum entry. The corrective entry was here when 6 candles failed to break this bottom. The reversal entry, sorry, excuse me. What would have to happen for a next entry, because now there's nothing on the hourly chart. On the hourly chart, because now there is momentum here. So what we would need to see is 2 hours basically not breaking this high, which therefore would mean that there's a fractal on this candle. Once there are 2 hours here, that means a pending order. I would be able to put a pending order above it with a stop loss below the bottom, 10 pips above, 10 pips below, and would look on an entry on the 3rd candle, the 4th, the 5th, or the 6th. Max 7th, if the 6th is bullish. If that's too complicated, then forget that. But 3, 4, 5, 6. If it doesn't happen on candle 3, 4, 5, or 6, the entry, then this momentum that we see now is finished. And therefore, the momentum entry is not valid anymore. So I'll do that one more time because this is new, something new. So, or maybe I should use something that has already happened because this hasn't happened. It's maybe a bit more difficult to talk about. Let me find, we'll go back to the pound. Let me find something. This Aussie is a perfect example. So it's also something we talked about, the potential for a breakout above this trend line, right? Yesterday. And it did happen and we had a good rally. But from a time factor point of view, there was a momentum entry. How? Because we had this can be considered momentum. There are 3 candles. Not the best momentum ever, but for this example case, let's take it, still would qualify because you do have 3 bullish candles in a row, or at least 3 out of 6 candles. This is momentum. So what we're looking for then is a fractal to place the entry above it. After, above it because it's bullish momentum here. So we have momentum, we have a fractal. The fractal occurs after 2 candles that don't break that particular spot. Once that happens, I can take an entry above that fractal, but it has to happen between candle 3 and 6. Because if it doesn't happen between 3 and 6, then 6 candles were not able to break this high, which means that this momentum is over. It's basically trying to trade a small pause within the momentum before getting follow through. So if it happens on candle 2, it's not good because we need a fractal, which means that if we have a break on the second candle, there would be no fractal here. To get a fractal, we need 2 candles. So, I mean, of course, the trend line is available, but it wouldn't be a time system entry. So first 2 are never possible because we need a fractal. 3 to 6th would be the entry. If it doesn't break then, it's deleted because then it's not a momentum continuation anymore. Yes, if you had a pending order, it would be deleted on number 6. There's a small sub rule about how the candle looks like on 6th, but I think we'll save that for a bit later perhaps. Let's see, are you using fractals with 5 candles? Not sure what you mean with your question, Kayla. It's just, this is a normal fractal with two candles. So when looking at this momentum, here's the first candle not breaking the high. Here's the second candle not breaking the high. That's when the fractal is confirmed. And it will never disappear. You will see a fractal already after the first candle closes. But that's not a confirmed fractal. A second candle close is needed. Otherwise, then it's for sure not disappearing. Okay, there could be indeed different fractals. Well, 5 candles, yes. There are 5 candles in total. From that point of view, there has to be 2 candles to the left and 2 candles to the right of the middle candle. So that middle candle is the highest of 5 candles, if that's what you mean. These 5 candles right here, this middle one is the highest of them. That's when you have a fractal. So the entry is right here above this fractal because we have a fractal and the break happens on the 4th candle, right on this one. That's the 4th. So that's good. The exit would be again a lack of momentum, which would be after 6 candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one. So the entry would be about 94 and the exit would be at 20. So it would be only about 26 pips. Not a big win. Is that clear? Any questions on that? Maybe I can find one more example in the meantime. The euro yen was an example yesterday. also something we discussed yesterday, was the fact that it could break out from this trend line, right? From a time factor point of view, this is a different entry. Sorry, but in any case, it's actually a corrective entry. I can talk about it though, doesn't matter. This was momentum. The momentum bottom didn't get broken, that's important. Was close, but it didn't break. Otherwise, it's not valid. And the 16th candle broke the nearest fractal, which therefore counts as a breakout. So that was a time factor breakout. Boom, that was the trade, the exit. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candle right here. In this case, actually the seventh, that's a sub rule. But in any case, either tool would have given a good 70 pip from here to somewhere in here. So let's look another one for another momentum one. Let's see, current example. We can also have a break to the downside after momentum to the upside. Yes. With the euro yen, it is possible. Well, the thing is, I don't count pin bars, and this is a pin bar. So from that point of view, I wouldn't count this candle. So therefore, there are only two bearish candles. So I wouldn't consider this momentum. I mean, it's a technical definition thing. In honesty, I think that that would, from just a visual point of view, it does look like momentum, and a break here makes sense. But we don't have a fractal here either. So the thing is that there's a difference between a method and a strategy. Is a good point actually, Caitlin. Thanks for that. There's a time method in a way, and there's a strategies based on it. And for the strategy, I need certain definitions that could still be optimized. Maybe the definitions that I use are not optimal. Like for instance, because there's so many settings, it could take a decade, I guess. Who knows? I mean, there's an unended, there's a very lot of options, of course, to a certain degree. I mean, there's really a lot of choices. So optimizing that is not an easy task. I do think that the parameters I use should be okay. Have proved to me that they work. Whether there are better ones available is possible, but so the difference. Anyhow, the difference. I'm sidetracking here. The difference is the method is kind of like principles, and the strategy is then defining those principles into more concrete kind of shape. So, for instance, I use the rule that I want to see at least 3 momentum bars out of 6, and I don't count pin bars. So that's a choice. But one could say I want 4 out of 7, or I do count pin bars, etc. That's my point. Alrighty, let's see. Pre-news timeline. I didn't look at news events on average. Yes, from case to case, I would say use your own discretion and rules for your risk management to do that. As always, looking at a 5-minute chart on the pound dollar, the news event will certainly impact that, and whatever my time system says, the news event will either indeed give it a boost in our way, great, or it will turn out into a loss, and that would be unfortunate. And I think it's mainly dependent on the news event. I don't think that the system, the system will play out the law of averages in a way. So it really depends how you want to tackle news events. Alrighty, let me see some other questions, but I'll definitely take a look at them. Is the last one, let's see, recorded? I can ask to give this more priority, sure, Caitlin, no problem. And I'll try to get it up in the air quicker, okay? And other questions I'll definitely take a look at. I just want to give one more example of momentum at this moment. By the way, the euro yen, let's see, is in candle number 14. So a break above this fractal would be an equally valid corrective breakout trade as the euro dollar. Let's see. All right, let me think about other examples here. Let's see. This is a good example right here. It's the 4-hour chart, just to show something different. Doesn't have to be always hourly. Well, maybe not the best momentum, but it would qualify. There are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles in this group, and I see 4 bullish candles, which means it's more than 3 out of 6. There, of which 2 are strong. So, I mean, you don't want to see only like small candles. You want at least to see 1 or 2. So that qualifies as momentum. Then we see 1, 2, 3. Here we got the fractal. Fourth candle breaks the fractal, which means it's a momentum entry with a stop loss below the nearest fractal, which is not this one at the moment, because that fractal is only confirmed after this candle, and we already entered after that. So the valid fractal is over here. That's the stop loss, and that's the entry. And in this case, we're looking for momentum to continue. We get a new high on this candle, we get a new high on this candle, we get a new high on this candle, on this candle, on this candle. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candle not breaking. So that's the exit right here after this pin bar. And the entry is above this fractal. Well, on a 4-hour chart, you might want to use more than 10 pips, but maybe like 20, but it depends on your own preference. But 205.42, let's use 20 pips as an example. That would be an entry at 62. With a stop loss all the way here, unfortunately a bit wider. All right. Yeah, so a win, obviously a win, but not a great R2R, but still, okay, not bad. Well, I mean, it's a 4-hour chart, so obviously you're going to have a huge risk, 300 pips and 255 reward, 255 pips. And it could have been, in some cases, if this were a fractal before the breakout, then obviously you have a better R2R. That's another example. So now let me take a look at a question or two. Yeah, let's take a look at the cable indeed. And is there a method of trail stops you can use with the time factor, or do you leave the original stop in place? Yeah, at the moment, I only have been using a market exit, but no trail for this system. But it's something that I would like to test, because sometimes what happens is that if the market goes my way and boom, a big, well, maybe that's a bit exaggerated, but a big counter bar knocks me out. Doesn't happen often, but it sometimes does happen. So, and there's no time really to exit within after those 6 candles. And that sometimes happens. So I would like to look into it. Yeah, if you can't check the candles overnight or whatever reason you cannot keep an eye on the desired time frame, then you have to use a different exit. Whatever it is, market exit, trail, you have to find a different solution. Otherwise, you need to protect your profit or protect the trade indeed. 50-minute charts, yeah, we can use that on 50-minute chart indeed. I was looking at hourly and 4-hour. Pound USD, let's take a look at it. So first let me finish the hourly pound and we'll dive into 15. What I would be looking for here is we have momentum. This qualifies as momentum, this part. Why is that? Let me ask if anyone knows. Why is that? Why is this momentum? Yeah, indeed. We got 4 bullish, exactly. Great job. We got 4 bullish candles and 4 out of 4 basically. So meets our 3 out of 6 indication. So with 2 or actually 2 sizable candles, all 4 candles closing near the high. So that's good. So yes, and then the next step would be a fractal. We don't have that yet. Um, 1 second, folks. All right, sorry about that. So we need a fractal right here, which means that we need 2 closed candles. So we don't have the first one. It will close in 33 minutes from now. So an hour and 33 minutes from now, if 2 candles are lower, the high is lower than this candle right here, then that would be a fractal. And then the entry could be planned 10 pips above it with a stop loss below the nearest fractal on the opposite side. The breakout, however, would have to break within candle 3 or 5 or 6. So let's imagine another bearish candle and that they're both closed. And this is the third, this is the fourth, this is the fifth, and a sixth breakthrough. That's okay still. Any of these candles is good. But if the sixth doesn't break through, then it's the pending is deleted. If a candle closes like this, well, from a candlestick point of view, yes. From a time system, it wouldn't mean anything necessarily. It's just one candle, and it wouldn't look at that. But I mean, from a candlestick point of view, I can see your point definitely. Fractal 3 candles. Well, there are different ways. I mean, there are actually the fractal can be to a certain degree can be just chose a number. You can choose a number and you can change it for your own trading. Technically, this is set standard at a 2 to the left, to the right. Will there be a fake out? I think from a 4-hour point of view, it looks probably going to be a good breakout. I mean, we had momentum here, from a time system point of view, this was momentum, this was correction on the cable, right? How many candles after the momentum faded are we now breaking? 30th candle. We had a small breakout here. Which candle was that? 12. So this would not have been an entry because it was the 12th. That was a fake out. Or it turned out to be a fake out. According to the system rules, the trade would not have been taken and the fake out would have been avoided because it was the 12th candle. But this is the 30th candle, which means that from the system point of view, it could be a fake out, but it doesn't matter because it's, according to the rules, it's an entry. If it would have been above the 60th, it would have been not an entry. So from that point of view, there is a cable entry above this on a 4-hour perspective with a stop loss below here. So I can try that. Let's see. Keaton, are you talking about the pound, I guess? I think so. Can I break that down to also be valid? A big bearish candle breaking the doji bottom. Which time frame? 4-hour? If we look at the 4-hour chart, we had a bearish momentum here, but that top got broken here. So this is not momentum anymore. This could still maybe be considered momentum. Well, actually, this is a pin bar, so that doesn't count. So no, this is not momentum, but we can start from here. Let's see. In this part, maybe, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles. But one thing that has to be added is that there cannot be 2 inside candles in momentum. That rule I haven't taught or explained yet, but we have 3 inside candles within that one biggest bar. So those are bearish candles, but they're within one bar. So that would not qualify either. So all of this is not considered momentum. Maybe you think, how about this? There's one here, there's a second here, and a third here, or a third here perhaps. That could maybe be, the only thing that could qualify. Not this one actually, because it's too far apart. There are too many candles in between these two fractals, so these two candles. So this one would not qualify, but perhaps these three. It's the only thing that could qualify as downside here. Not looking very impressive, but technically could qualify. 20 pips on a 4-hour chart, I would go with 20 pips. So let's see if the entry was triggered. Low was 155.37. And here 28. So 9 pips. It broke by 9 pips, which means that no matter what pip count was used, the entry should not have been taken in with 20, even 10, perhaps not. So it was maybe a setup, but not an entry. So that was avoided. Let's see. The one with the red live candle waiting for fractal to form. Ah, this on the hourly chart. If we're yes, if from a reversal point of view, we had a reversal down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, reversal trades, by the way, is not something that I have traded very strictly or tested very strictly. I have focused on the breakouts. So the reversal, I would use more with discretion, more with using structure of the market, have an idea about the higher time frames, and only use it when you think that a bigger move will take place, and this can be used kind of as an addition, right? But technically, there's the sixth candle. That is the potential reversal. Sometimes you don't want to take it at the close because the entry is not that good. Here, this is not a great entry. It is the signal. It is the sixth candle, but is that a great entry? No, because it already moved up so much. So in some cases, it is good to wait for a bit of a pullback. Actually, we had one recently last week on a 5-minute chart. The sixth candle posted, probably don't remember, but the sixth candle closed, and I said, well, it's the trigger, but it's not a good entry because it's at 5-minute resistance. Rather wait for the pullback. Anyhow, that would be valid here too. Waiting for a bit of a pullback would be better. Anyhow, that is the signal. So in the same thing would be valid here. 1, 2, 3, 6 candles, not breaking this high, could be indeed the reversal one. Could be also too late because it reversed maybe too much, but let's see. That happens sometimes. So, well, the entries, I don't know now, but if two candles, once again, two candles to make very clear at 10 a.m. GMT time, do not break this high, then it would be 10 pips above this fractal, which would be at 34. $34, 156.34. From a daily chart, just in case you're wondering, I know this might get a bit more complicated, but we do have momentum here. 3 bullish candles in 5, 4 bullish candles in 5, 2 strong ones, no inside candles. And this is, let me check something. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth candle right here. So if today or tomorrow breaks this top, we're still in momentum. We're still in momentum on the daily chart to the upside. But if it fails today or tomorrow to break this top, then the momentum is over. So pretty important next 2 days. Also, we have the meeting minutes on pounds, so that's something to be cautious of. All right. They don't have to be considered. They don't have to be consecutive, indeed. No. So in this case, for instance, on the daily, this inside candle here, or this is just a small pause. Yeah, let's take a look at the 15. I forget about it, indeed. We're in the 5th candle right now. This momentum is over if the 5th or 6th, and technically sometimes 7th, that's a side rule, don't break this top. I don't expect that top to be broken, actually, because of the news event. So I do think that the 5th and 6th will fail here, and I think we will see some kind of 13 candle pattern here. If once we have 13 candles, then the breakout is okay. We have the news event in 50 minutes, which means this candle will close as number 5. 6 will be at the top of the hour. The news event will happen after candle 8. So let's see. Another 4 candles would have to close after that. The 5th after the news event, I could take a breakout on the pound using this 50-minute chart. A corrective breakout. That means that it would have to be like 12 candles like this here. But with the news event, it could happen anytime, really. That's not to say that it always happens like this, obviously. Let's see. How do you integrate it? Well, that's a pretty, that could be a bit more complex sometimes. Basically, that could be a bit more tricky to explain. Well, basically at the moment we see if we start with the daily, we see we're in a momentum to the upside. 4-hour, we see we have a corrective break to the upside after momentum. So it's all bullish. Daily is bullish momentum. 4-hour is a bullish breakout after correction and upside impulse. 1-hour is an upside impulse. 15 isn't a fifth candle. So what does that all mean? Well, basically, from a 50-minute point of view, the breakout trade was already here. Why? Because we had momentum here. Or to be precise, here. So that breakout trade was already here, in fact, with the stop loss below. Now looking for the exit. So on a 50-minute chart, the entry has already taken place, and now it's exit time. The only next entry could happen is once we have 12 candles closed that didn't break this bottom. This first trade would be already exited at candle number 6, and the second trade, if there is one, would happen on candle number 13 on the break. So I guess how do you integrate it? I think you just have to look at it from each time frame itself. I mean, you can combine it, but it might get a bit complicated. But if you look at the 50-minute chart, this is what's happened. This is the current situation. Breakout, waiting for the exit, and a new entry can only happen after 13 candles. Corrective breakout. Now, one could take this breakout, but I always look at the first breakout. I never looked at second breakouts. Yeah, it could be good too. I don't know how good they are. It's always looking at local momentum, basically. So that this was in a range is not important. As long as there's a local momentum, basically, that breaks. In fact, here was a local momentum. As long as that bottom doesn't break here, it could be an entry. So we got a break here. Let's take a look at that. That was candle number 27 here. Look, I'm looking at this top from here, this bottom to this. That's momentum there. Candle 27 breaks. That could have been an entry too. Now, where's the exit? 6 candles that don't break the top. This is the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me count quickly. The exit would have been here. And the entry was somewhere in here. Small loss, probably a quarter. Now, if you look at the session, obviously, if we do take into account sessions, this was a break in Asian session. Good thing probably to avoid anyhow, from a session point of view, indeed. All right, so no, I wasn't speaking. I was thinking for a second. Let's see. I just wanted to make sure that the local momentum is clear. This in total is corrective, but still looking at kind of momentum segments and using that. Let me see who was asking that. I lost the chat here for a second. Let's see. I don't know who it was. Okay. Anyhow, I hope that's clear. If the 6th candle is decisively bullish with upside momentum, I would wait for the 7th, indeed. Jen, the 5th candle, this is the 5th candle right now, actually. But there's nothing to do at the moment. There's nothing right there. Let me turn off that sound. All right, so there's nothing to do at the moment, but this is the 5th. The news event will be the 8th. Alrighty, let's see. From 13th onward, indeed, we look for continuation of that momentum, and the consolidation has been big enough. Oh, it's BT that asked that. BT, is it clear what I just explained about that local momentum? Okay, cool. Jen is still asking about that. Let's see. No problem. Let's see. I gladly explain that better because I was a bit worried that maybe that is not clear. Let's see. How do you determine it? Well, you use that rule basically, looking for 3 out of 6 candles. Ah, three out of, let me draw that better. 3 out of 6 that don't have inside candles. Well, actually, one inside candle is okay, but not two definitely. That have a decent length in size, good momentum bars. That is momentum. As long as that bottom in bullish momentum or top in bearish momentum isn't broken, it's valid still. That is momentum. So that can happen anywhere. It can happen as part of a big range, like in this case. Even in this range, here in this zone, they were parts of momentum. Where? Here. No, that doesn't qualify actually. Sorry, because of this candle. But yeah, as I said here, and even here, probably. Maybe not. Actually, that's 3 out of 7, but close, but not. This one, yes. Yeah, it's trading indeed a flag, indeed. A flag or correction, but using candle counts to determine which one, and using fractals for entries, and the opposite for exits, right? Momentum entries, momentum exits when the momentum fades. And the reversal is looking for actually the opposite, for an entry between 6 and 13. So from that point of view, 2 to 6, momentum entry, 7 to 13, 7 to 12, kind of reversal opportunities perhaps in general, and then 13 plus is again a corrective breakout. So it's looking for momentum. It's trading based on momentum correction, absolutely, but using basically candle counts to make those decisions instead. If the present fractal is broken, I wouldn't do anything personally, because as I said, this is a second breakout, and I don't know how that. I mean, it could work well. I don't know. That's something that might be worth looking into. I didn't, so I don't know anything about it. This was the first one, and I always stick to one setup. I don't scale in. I don't have two setups in the same direction, unless time frames differ. But I mean, unless there's breakouts on different time frames. But on the same time frame, I don't do that. So I don't know. I wouldn't trade it. Not with the time system, at least. Candle system, candle count system. Maybe we can take a look at other 15-minute candles. Does anyone see something maybe that is interesting? Here's maybe something we should discuss. Here's maybe momentum. There is a bit of a pin bar, but 3 out of 3 candles. But what happened? The bottom got broken. That does not count, therefore. But we can consider, this perhaps to be momentum, right? There is that bullish momentum there. The thing is that the this was already momentum and that top got broken. So I don't think we can consider this as maybe a bit complicated, but it looks like actually if there was momentum, the break was here, which means that 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the fifth candle at the moment after that breakout. One extra thing though is that obviously if there's a huge momentum like this, I consider that to be just a big momentum as well. Obviously we have plenty of candles to confirm that this is momentum. So when it's obvious momentum like this, that goes a lot further than 3, I don't discard it. I mean but that's so obvious. I think that so if we get a break after a 13 candle period, that's fine. The 3 out of 3 is just for smaller kind of momentums to spot them, or 3 out of 6. Let me use this as an example. For instance, here, this is obviously momentum. Why? Because look at the rule. Sixth candles should break the top, right? So in this case, the sixth candle broke this top. In this case, the sixth candle broke this top. In this case, the sixth candle broke this top. From here to here, basically, that's momentum because each candle broke the high or within 6 candles. Did we have 3 out of 3 candles in that zone that were bullish? Yes, or 3 out of 6, definitely. More than that. So that's definitely momentum. And that is one swing high, swing low. And therefore, this is the correction after that. Yeah, sorry about that. Dollar CAD, indeed. Let's take a look. And pound yen. Pound dollar entry would be basically here, right here. 10 pips might be too much though. I mean, I use rather 5 on the 15-minute chart. After this break, because we have momentum here and the breakout will be here. The system, I mean, once a breakout happens and it's a pin bar, it doesn't really care about that. It would only look, I mean, from a real, very rules-based perspective, it would not care. If you have, systems out there that you would like to combine, I'm not saying you shouldn't. It's just that from this point of view, from the system point of view, it doesn't look at, how does the first, second, third, fourth, fifth candle look like when the breakout happens. Yeah, I'm saying around the fractal is 155.75. Indeed, exactly. So dollar CAD made that retracement back to the bottom, about exactly, roughly where we were expecting actually. Now, from a reversal point of view, the sixth candle happened here, but it was bearish, so we have to look at the seventh candle, which is something I'll explain hopefully still now, but let me first look at dollar CAD. This candle would have been the reversal entry, and it's up a bit if looking for a bounce, as explained yesterday, that it could bounce in this area. Now, how about momentum to the opposite side? Do we have that? Not really. We don't have it. We have maybe here 3 candles actually, but we still need a fractal. So only after the next fractal. To the downside, we could say that this is momentum here, and we would need a break below this fractal. but only after candle number 13. It's already candle 17. So from that point of view, bearish breakout would be below this spot. Bullish breakout would have to wait for a fractal still on the hourly chart. If you want another time frame, let me know. Otherwise, let me take a look at the pound yen 50-minute chart. 50-minute chart already had an entry here. Same thing as the pound dollar. Momentum to the upside, fractal break. Still in that trade, looking to exit as soon as 6 candles don't break. From an hourly point of view, looking for a new fractal. We have momentum now, but looking for a fractal and break. Euro yen is maybe a good example. Let's see. We had fractal entry here too, right here. Right there, that's the entry. And now still in that trade. So this is candle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. If this top doesn't get broken within the next 1 to 2 to 3 candles, an exit is taken. Yeah, that's a historic entry indeed. That was an entry. Now, it, even after the fact, could still be an entry as long as 6 candles have not broken this top, because then the exit. As long as the trade is technically, according to the rules, still open, a pending order can be placed there, and if price were to dip back that deep, it could still be entered. But as soon as technically the exit should have taken place, then of course that has to be deleted. Hope that if that doesn't make sense, let me know, okay? Yeah, entry on the breakout after the fractal has been formed already. Before I explain the 5th and the 6th and the 7th candle rule, please be aware that we got Nenet's Admiral Markets webinar here, Why Traders Lose Money. Here again with Admiral Markets, looking at cultivating a rock solid confidence when trading. That's something Nenet and I are going to take a look at tomorrow night, both at 4 p.m. GMT time. So I hope to see you then. So what do I mean with the 6th and 7th candle? Well, basically, if the 6th candle is in the direction that I want to trade, if I'm looking for breakout to the upside, and the 6th candle is bullish, I would give it another candle. If it doesn't break, if it doesn't, if the trade doesn't get, if the high doesn't get broken, I would exit the pending order or exit the trade. In both cases, equally valid. If I'm already in the trade to the upside and the 6th candle is bullish, I would give it the 7th. If it doesn't break the top, I'm out. Same for entry. If it doesn't break, if 6 is bullish, I'm looking for long. If it doesn't break, if it don't get triggered by 7, I'm out. Maybe that was too fast, but let's see if I can find an example. Okay, maybe not the best example, but here we have a high. Let's just assume that we had momentum here. So for simplicity's sake, so I don't have to look too long. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles bullish. I'm looking for a long, upside momentum. 6 candles bullish. I wait for the 7th. 7th doesn't break, then I'm out there. Or I delete. Sorry, I delete in this case the pending order. So I'm looking for a long as a pending order. 6th is bullish, so it's aligned. So I wait one more 7th. 7th doesn't break. I delete it. In the current pound dollar, this is basically happening right now. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candle. If the next candle doesn't break this top, it's over. That would be end of momentum, and anyone who took this breakout could exit the trade. Even on the odd USD, ironically enough, there's small local momentum here, followed by a fractal, followed by a break of that fractal within the fifth candle. That would have been an entry with a stop loss above it, and the trade is still on. This is the fifth candle. If this candle or next candle doesn't break this bottom, there's an exit. The entry in the pound dollar, there's no entry at the moment. That's the thing. There was the entry. From a time system point of view, there is no new entry at the moment. The trade is still on. As long as if we get 12 candles at any point that don't break the top, then there would be potential correction breakout. So in this case, if you're not in from a time factor strategy point of view, then it's waiting. Yes, 12 candles. 12 candles not breaking the top, and then as soon as that happens, the 13th candle that breaks the nearest fractal. I know there are a lot of things to think about maybe, but we can take a look at it again next week. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, don't forget to take a look at Admiral Markets social media, Twitter, Facebook, a lot of good things that are being released. Today, I was talking about the break of channels that spark an ABC formation. That's part of the wave analysis. You can find that by going to analytics and then clicking on wave analysis. There's technical analysis as well. There's a heat map. There's education. There's MetaTrader 4 Supreme Edition, which has 56 additional features. So there's a lot of good things that you want to take a look at. Very useful with calculating risk, for instance. So if you're not too keen on calculating how big the lot size should be with your risk management, you can do that a lot easier with this MT4 Supreme Edition. So I hope that you take a look at the content and social media and enjoy that. I think there's a lot of good value there, so I would definitely recommend it. Take a look at this Supreme Edition as well, okay? Let's see, using the figure on the 4-hour chart for pullback entry, could you look at that, please? Let's see, 4-hour chart. Well, I don't need a candle close. Basically, what I'm trading here on the 4-hour chart is this is momentum, and this was correction. So the correction has lasted 29 candles. Okay, that's good. So I can take the next fractal break, which happened already. And I don't have to wait for the candle close. I mean, that's the current system. And anyone who wants to, test variations of it, because there are different ways, different systems can be built on this method. So I would gladly hear it if you ever do that. And would certainly appreciate it if you share that with me. If anyone does, discover side branches of this. What about if we take the trade after momentum and we have a strong reversal? Yeah, and that happens, definitely. It does happen that the time fractal doesn't give a good exit, and the momentum against it, or the reversal is so strong that it eats up a lot of profit or even turns into a loss. That does happen. I'm not going to beat about around the bush. And one thing could be a trail stop to guard against that, but that's something I definitely would like to take a look at and research. The only thing in general that we have to be careful of is that obviously the strategy is never perfect. So the thing is that if we look for a trail, it might have to look at how it impacts the whole package, because it might be good for a few trades, but it might be bad for a lot of winning trades and cut the winners too short. So that's something that definitely when testing has to be closely monitored. I think it's worth looking into, but at the moment I'm not too concerned about it. It's something on my list, but it's not too concerning for me. It does happen once in a while, but from statistics I've seen that my original stop loss gets hit in about 10 to 15% of the cases, depending on the pairs I've looked at. So that's not, I think, not too many. So it doesn't happen too often. Now, how many times profit has been given back? A lot of profit has been given back. I don't know, but for the moment, I think it's okay, but definitely worth looking into. Let's see. Yeah, that could be definitely a good idea. Letting this candle close, if it's a decent candle with, let's say, not more than 40% wick on top, then put a fib on it. Wait for the 38.2 fib, probably 156. Probably will not retrace much more than the 50. I would go for the 38.2 fib, but in my opinion, but 50 entry could be missed. But stop loss below the candle low in this case. I would say if trading the candle. Let's see. Super trend indicator. No, sorry, wait. Apologies for that. I didn't look into that. Does sound very interesting though. ATR based trading stop. That could be very interesting as an addition trail stop to this exit indeed. Could you remind me which, maybe send me email which one that was, because I was quite busy last 2 weeks due to unforeseen circumstances, like all kind of technology breaking down in my house. Crazy. I don't know what's happening exactly in July, but very wacky. Okay, interesting. Cool. Thank you so much, Jen. I wish you good trading too. I don't see any questions, so thanks all for taking the time to join us, and for your, as always, for your comments and questions. And let me know if you do use it or do test it. Always try a demo first, obviously, or if you use it with other methods, let me know how it goes. I would love to hear from you, and wish you happy hunting. See you soon. Cheers.